What's up, everybody? It's your boy. Uh, I hope everybody's okay. You guys are doing well. For this video, I wanted to talk about real quick the my first impressions of the first episode of The Last of Us. Now, I guess there's going to be some slight spoilers. So if you haven't, seen the first episode yet, come back later to peep this video down the line. Let me start off by saying that I would say the original Last of Us is my third favorite game of all time. The first Last of Us. It came out in 2013, and it was a phenomenon. It was a phenomenon. The when that game came out, it changed the game in some ways, and it caught a lot of people by surprise. And over time, it's become one of those games. It's become one of those games where you either love it or you hate it. I love it. Okay, I love the first Last of Us, and it's a classic. It's just a classic. And but like I said before, I would rank it as my third favorite game of all time. My first favorite, my number one favorite is God of War 2. I'm maintaining that's my personal number one, and it's gonna stay that way. Favorite game of all time. God of War 2 to me on the PlayStation 2 from March of 2007 is an absolute masterpiece of a game. An absolute masterpiece of a game. It's perfect. God of War 2 is a perfect action video game. It's perfect. Number two would be Resident Evil 4. Resident Evil 4 is, as I've said in many of my previous videos, is also a classic. And number three would be The Last of Us. Well, some of you guys that may be watching this might be thinking, well, how can The Last of Us not be number one? It's God of War 2, man. It's God of War 2. But anyway, so moving on to the first episode, I was blown away. Okay, I was blown away. They took what was and Neil Druckmann and the people he's worked with to bring the video game to life through this television show. They've stayed very close to the material, and they've hired actors to really bring this thing to life. Pedro Pascal, that's the man right there. Pedro Pascal is the man. Okay. Um, the actress that they got to play Ellie, um, she's from Game of Thrones. Apparently, I never watched Game of Thrones. Um, as I understand it, that's also a very popular show from a couple years back. Bella Ramsey is her name. She did good. She's done good so far. She's done real good. And the chemistry, the chemistry between all the characters is great. It's top notch. And I would say from the opening of the episode where you have these you know, science guys talking about, well, you had this two of them. They're yeah, you got two scientists that are at a talk show, and one of the actors I recognize. He's from, I don't know his name, but he's from Supernatural and Peacemaker. But it's his partner, it's the other guy that's doing most of the talking. And the entire explanation that he gives is it's eerie. It's an eerie explanation. And I mean, a lot of people have known about it for a long time. The whole cordyceps thing taking over ants. And I remember reading about that even way back when the first game came out. That the cordyceps thing is apparently a real thing that attacks ants. And just every not just that, but the fungus and everything he was talking about, it was eerie. It was eerie, and it set the tone. It set the stage for the rest of the episode. Now, again, as I said earlier, they stayed. They have stayed so far. But I would say, looking at the trailers, you could say without a shadow of a doubt that they're going to be sticking real close to the game. From this episode, from from this episode to the last episode. I mean, they're just, you can see it in the trailers. But they just, I mean, they knocked it out the park. These guys knocked it out the park with this episode. It has such a down to earth um feel to it. It's raw, it's real, and I'm just happy with all the performances. I'm just the guy that plays Joel's brother. As I understand it, he was in, I think, the last Terminator movie, if I'm not mistaken, or one of the previous Terminator movies. Even that guy is phenomenal as Joel's brother. I mean, he may not necessarily look like him too much, but he got the voice down, he got the mannerisms down. That guy is Joel's brother. Period. Hands down. Again, Pedro Pascal is a great Joel. Although there might be some of you guys that may have heard, for you guys that watch John Campea, the John Campea show, there was an episode a couple of weeks ago where Campea had discussed the top two choices for Joel. One of one of them again being Pascal, and then the other one being the guy from Supernatural, uh, Dean Winchester. What's his name? Jensen Ackles. Jensen Ackles. Would Jensen Ackles have been a good choice? I guess. But that's not the timeline we live in. We live in this timeline where it's Pascal, and dude even has the shirt. He has the shirt. He looks like Joel. You know what I'm saying? He sounds like Joel. Maybe not 100%, but he sounds enough like Joel that you could buy it. And there's been some people that they don't like this chick that's playing Ellie, Bella Ramsey. I think she's okay. There's definitely going to be an episode down the line, as they've shown in the trailers. It might be the next episode. Where they're going to show her backstory uh, with Riley. And that whole thing. But I was surprised that they didn't have Joel and Tess. I'm surprised that they didn't have them kill Robert. There's that cut scene in the first game where they kill Robert, and I was kind of expecting that, but they decided, maybe for time reasons, they cut that and they trimmed it, and so you got that scene where Joel And Tess, they walk into that hallway and they see that Robert and his boys was killed. You know, trying to steal his trying to steal trying to sell their battery. You know, for the car, for their car. So you know, I mean, you got that. We still have yet to see. Uh, there's no question that next episode there's going to be some clickers, at least one or two clickers showing up on the scene, and that scene where you know Joel's daughter dies. I mean, there's a behind the scenes video after you watch the episode. There's a behind the scenes video where one of the people that made the episode in the show, he says flat out that, you know, her death was, it's not pretty. It's not meant to be pretty. It's meant to be, you know, disturbing. And whether we're talking about the game or how it was portrayed in the show, I mean, Sarah's death is just tragic. You know, it's just absolutely tragic. And you just feel it, you know, and the way Pascal sold it was it was unbelievable. It was unbelievable how he sold it. See, I'm loving the show. I'm loving the show. I'm loving the vibe. I could see some people having a problem with the show in the sense that there's going to be fans out there that they're not going to like. And this goes back to that whole thing of you can't please everybody, you know. But there's going to be people out there that are going to have a problem with the show being too close to the game. There's going to be people that have a problem with that. Oh, why are they copying the same dialogue? Why is it? Why does it? Why is that area the same? You know, same way as it is in the games. You know, look. The fact of the matter is that, in my opinion, everything. Okay, everything is subjective. Okay, everything is subjective. What I may like, you may not like, and vice versa. That's fine. In my opinion, I feel that as of now, there's still a couple of episodes to go. As of now, The Last of Us is the greatest live action interpretation, representation of a video game. Hands down to me. Um, Before that, I would say the first Mortal Kombat. Okay. Say what you will about that film. It came out a long time ago. It's cheesy, it's dated. But before The Last of Us, it was the first Mortal Kombat. And the first Mortal Kombat to me held that crown ever since 1995. But it lost it. It's lost it just on this first episode of The Last of Us alone. And also I just want to point out that, you know, just narratively speaking, The Last of Us is, I mean, the story, you think about that cutscene, which I hope they replicate. I hope they replicate that scene in the show. But that cutscene in the game where Joel tells Ellie, "You're not my daughter." I mean, I would say that's the strongest cutscene in the game, aside from the cutscene with Sarah's death. That this other cutscene is a very impactful classic scene, you know. And the dialogue there is top notch. The way what's his face who did the voice of Joel in the mocap, the way he sold it was phenomenal. It was phenomenal. So yeah, the show is great. I'm loving the show so far. Episode one, I remember, I saw how long it was. It was, it was an hour and 20 minutes, and I was like, damn. That's certainly a long time for a show, for a premiere episode. But yeah, so I'm just gonna be tuning in. I'm gonna be tuning in every week and giving my thoughts on every episode and how it correlates and relates to the game. And you have to wonder if there's no doubt that this is going to be successful. And so you have to wonder if they're gonna do a season two slash part two, where they replicate what happens in the game. With Ellie getting older and Abby coming in the mix and all that, and Joel dying. But time will tell. Time will tell. They got to crank out these episodes. They got to crank out these episodes every week. And for some of you guys that may or may not know, when the first episode premiered at 9 o'clock yesterday, it actually crashed the site. If you go to comicbook.com, there's an article that explains that the just the clicks on people wanting to watch that episode. I mean, people just they crashed the site. People are hungry for The Last of Us, and it's just crazy how it's been 10 years. It's been 10 years since that first game came out. Who would have thought 10 years after that game came out that there'd be a live action show? You know what I'm saying? A decade later, it's crazy. It's just crazy. But Neil Druckmann, he said on numerous occasions that he's working, him and his team at Naughty Dog, they're working on a very ambitious Last of Us multiplayer game, and so it's going to be interesting seeing how that plays out, and how it comes about and whatnot. But me personally, I'm not a multiplayer guy. I'm not a multiplayer guy, so I'm not really looking forward to it. I guess I'll see snippets of other people playing it and get my thoughts on what I see. But as far as playing it, I don't know. It would have to be really. It would have to introduce very, very addicting gameplay, maybe some co-op or something. But as far as like competitive multiplayer, I don't do that no more. I quit. I quit with Mortal Kombat 11. You know. But yeah, those are my thoughts on The Last of Us, the first episode. I'm loving it. I'm digging it. You know, Joel is just kicking ass, taking names, and he just wants to. He wants to find his brother. He wants to find Tommy. So that's Tommy's been missing for 3 weeks, as Joel said to another character in the episode, and he's just looking for his brother. And also that scene where Joel beats the shit. I think the one of the head honchos behind the scenes, he confirmed that Joel killed the guy. That scene where Joel has like the flashback in his mind of when Sarah died, and so he attacks the same security guard, so to speak, that he was talking to earlier, and give him some pills or whatever. He beats him to death. He just beats him to death, and something takes over Joel when he just gets in attack defense mode. But this first episode of Last of Us was phenomenal. It was just phenomenal, man. And so yeah, that's pretty much what I wanted to say. Next week, I'm going to give my thoughts on. Well, before I close out, also I gotta say I find it interesting that they're not just dumping all the episodes all at once. I think they really want people to be hungry for the next episode, and really when the next episode comes, just dive in. You know, but I'm a fan of that. By the way, I'm a fan of the once a week model. I just don't believe in, uh, you know, whether we talk about Netflix or HBO Max. I've never been a believer or a supporter of the whole dumping the whole season thing, like Cobra Kai does. Like I just don't. You binge the show, you gotta wait a year. Why not stretch it out? Hey, but that's just me. Anyway, those are my thoughts on the first episode of Last of Us. I give it an A plus. Catch you guys in the next video.